Hi everyone, alongside Mike Trossel, I'm Dave Giancola. Thanks for joining us again to celebrate another incredible decade of U.S. Opens. This time it's the 1950s, and Mike, it started off with one of the greatest comebacks in sports history.
Yeah, it did, Dave. After a near-fatal car crash, doctors told Ben Hogan he may never walk again, never mind play golf. But through sheer force of will, Hogan persevered at Merion and won his second U.S. Open title in a three-way playoff.
And Mike, he defended that title in 1951 and added a fourth in 1953 at Oakmont, but was denied the record-breaking fifth in 1955 when unheralded Jack Fleck of Davenport, Iowa stunned Hogan in a playoff out at Olympic.
Well, the 1950s also featured a pair of two-time winners getting their first victories. Julius Boros in 1952 and Billy Casper 7 years later at Winged Foot.
So here it is, the 1950s. Let's kick it off with Ben Hogan at Merion.
It's the National Open Golf Tournament at Merion in Ardmore, Pennsylvania. The huge gallery watches Lloyd Mangrum tee off. Kerry Middlecoff. Sammy Snead. Eye-filling golf as Ben Hogan drives. Kerry Middlecoff tries everything on this short putt to no avail. Hogan applies his skill to a long try. And brother, that's tantalizing. But the terrific Texan plays steady golf and sinks him when he has to tie for the lead and qualify for the playoff round. Mangrum tees off in the playoff. George Fazio. Ben Hogan. Bantam Ben on the comeback trail from a brush with death plays a cool and calculating game. On the verge of his second Open title. 1 under par 69 to win the fourth three-way tie in the tournament's 50-year history. $4,000 goes with this trophy, enough for Ben and his wife to celebrate in championship style. Nice going, Ben.
Bobby Locke of South Africa gets away, followed by Lloyd Mangrum. Final round of the 51st U.S. Open at Birmingham. Here's Ben Hogan, the sentimental favorite for his dramatic comeback victory last year. Ben was way behind at the half. A big gallery of 17,000 sees some amazing play on the tough course. This blast onto the green by Jimmy DeMeritt. Oh, a tough one to miss. Jimmy puts it away. High scores attest to the toughness of the par 70 course. Only 5 players carded par scores or less. Locke had a 5-stroke lead at the half, but fell back, finishing third. Jimmy DeMeritt again, unlucky Jimmy, is standing at the finish 13th. That's fate for you. But it's a different story for the little defending champ from Texas, the comeback guy doing it again. Ben Hogan holds out with a final round score of 67, and the gallery takes him to its heart. They're rooting for him, and he delivered. The biggest little man in golf, Ben Hogan, with his third Open title.
But the big test in 1952 was the Open. Julius Boros, a comparative unknown, tees off. The accurate Kerry Middlecoff, the former U.S. Open champion, follows Boros. Boros, who blows hot and cold with his putter, has it today at Dallas as he beats Ben Hogan and a great field. Porky Oliver and Ben Hogan play second and third. The usually stolid Boros relaxes for the first time as he receives the trophy and kisses it.
1953. Oakmont held its third Open. Ben Hogan seeks his fourth Open title. With 1 round to go, Sam Snead, Hogan's ancient rival, is the only man left with a chance to catch him. In the end, however, it's the old story once more. Nothing falls for Sam. And Ben pulls away with a brilliant stretch drive. Hogan finishes with a flourish on the 72nd. A superlative 5-iron sets up his second straight birdie. He wins with a total of 283, a new record for Oakmont. And Ben Hogan joins Willie Anderson and Bob Jones as the only four-time winners of the Open Championship.
This is the big one, the National Open. Kerry Middlecoff teeing off in the final round at Baltusrol Golf Club at Springfield, New Jersey. And playing with Dr. Middlecoff, the leader of the field, Ed Fergall of St. Louis. Notice Ed's crooked left arm, result of a boyhood accident. Sam Snead still chasing that elusive Open title he just can't seem to overtake. A coming star is Gene Littler, one stroke behind Fergall at this point. And the four-time champion and title defender, Ben Hogan. But he's having his troubles on his final big day. Now one of the picture holes on this great course, the par 3 fourth, with the green guarded by a pond. Ed Fergall on the tee, and for an example of the steady golf he's playing, look at this magnificent shot. Head on for the pin, only 8 feet beyond. Dr. Middlecoff has title hopes too, and they get a lift as he rams in this 35-footer for a deuce. Now Fergall goes after the birdie. He has lined it up perfectly, but it's just a mite understroked. One more turn of the ball, and he'd have had it. This is not Hogan's day. Little Ben took a 76 in the third round and can't generate that hot streak. Now the climax, the final hole, and Fergall, after hooking his drive into the trees, is playing his fourth stroke, a chip from the edge. Fergall needs this for a par 5, a 72 for the round, and he makes it. That gives him a final score of 284 and first place. But Littler still has a chance. A birdie 4 here will tie him with Fergall. He blasts his third shot out from a trap beside the green. All eyes on that little ball, but it slides by the cup. Littler misses the crown by 1 stroke. And now let's meet the champ.
Folks, we're speaking to you from the 18th green at the Baltusrol Country Club in New Jersey. And where is this wonderful city here in this Springfield, yeah, a lot of Springfields around the country, but this is the first time we've had a chance to broadcast from Baltusrol since the National Amateur Championships were held out here. And our National Open title holder, Ed Fergall, is here. And Johnny Farrell, the host pro, who won the championship in 1928, is here to congratulate him. Great work to you, too.
Great work, Ed.
Thank you, Johnny.
You won over a great course, and I think against one of the greatest field ever played in the National Open Championship. You can really be proud of this victory.
Thank you, John. I really am proud, and I hope I can be a credit to the game.
Well, Ed, where was the turning point for you as you came in with 284 to win the championship?
Well, Harry, there's no such thing as a turning point in any golf championship. Every hole has to be played. Every stroke has to be played. I believe that the turning point that was made was the fact that I was able to keep going all the way through, Harry. There's no such thing where you can put a tab on any particular instance because every stroke counts and every shot counts.
There's no question about that, and you were in wonderful condition for it. Well, Ed, you're playing out of St. Louis now.
That's right, the Westwood Country Club in Clayton, Missouri, and I want to say that I have a wonderful group of members there, and they've been very nice to me, and I was glad that I was able to win the title for the Westwood Country Club.
The Olympic Country Club at San Francisco with more than 15,000 jamming around for the last act of the U.S. Open. Bantam Ben Hogan hits his approach to the final green, and it looks as if he's about to become the first man ever to win the big crown a 5th time. Now he strokes it, and the ball slides just below the hole. It leaves him a simple little tap for a 4 that finishes a strong last round of par 70. That gives Hogan a score of 287, and it appears that he has clinched the Open Championship for the 5th time in a glorious career. Jack Fleck, an obscure municipal course pro from Davenport, Iowa, and that chance is still slim. He needs a birdie to tie, but he hits a beautiful shot from the rough, hole high and only 8 feet away. He strokes it perfectly, and it's in to tie the great Hogan for the title. And you can see now the strain Fleck has been feeling. From out of nowhere, a Cinderella man has bobbed up to challenge mighty Hogan as the top man in American golf. Next day, the climax, an 18-hole playoff for the crown. And here's Hogan, considered a sure winner in any man-to-man duel. Now for the man few sports fans knew a week ago, Jack Fleck. Now, after 9 holes, Hogan is 2 strokes down to Fleck as he holes out on the 10th. And here's Fleck. He has a long one of about 20 feet. He rolls it in as if it had eyes, and now he leads by 3 shots. Now at the 18th, Hogan has made up 2 of those shots and trails by only 1, but he is hooked into the rough, and twice he fails to smash it out. Hogan is really beaten now, but with that bulldog spirit for which he is famous, he eases his 30-foot putt right into the cup. Fleck has the title in his pocket. He sends a nice putt up next to the cup, and then without hurrying or wasting time, he taps it in. He beats Hogan 69-72, and from obscurity, he springs into fame as the Open Golf King of the United States.
Golf's biggest show, the National Open, a record one-day crowd of nearly 14,000 at the Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York for the final round. And Dr. Cary Middlecoff leads by 1 stroke. Breathing down his neck, 1 stroke back is Ben Hogan. In a second-place tie with Hogan, Julius Boros, 1952 champion. And far out of it, Sam Snead, who just can't click in this one. Third member of the second-place tie, Ted Kroll. The 8th green, and Middlecoff saves a par 4 with a good putt. Middlecoff has beaten off the challenge of Peter Thompson, but the Australian sinks one too. Now to the 13th, and the Memphis Dentist saves another vital stroke with a birdie 4. Hogan striving for an unprecedented 5th championship, but his putter is letting him down. The climax, every stroke is precious now, but Middlecoff has pulled his second shot to the rough, short of the last green. It's a ticklish shot, the kind that makes or breaks. This one won't break him. He pitches it within 2 feet of the cup. Middlecoff drops in his par 4. What a relief. And now he goes into the clubhouse to sweat out his 281 score while the others shoot at it. Ben Hogan's last-ditch effort. This long putt would tie for the title, but Ben has to be content with second money. Julius Boros has a last chance too, and what a break. He hits the cup, but the putt turns away, and he also scores 282. Open champion for the second time, Dr. Cary Middlecoff. He certainly can fill those little cavities in golf greens.
The 57th USGA Open Golf Championship at the historic Inverness Club course to Ohio. Jimmy Demaret tossed the final round 1 stroke ahead. The former playboy of the links, now a sedate 46, has dreams of becoming the oldest Open champion in history. 1 stroke behind him, Dick Mayer of St. Petersburg, Florida. Mayer and Billy Joe Patton at the halfway point had tied the tournament record for 36 holes. And now Dr. Cary Middlecoff, twice holder of the title. Middlecoff has 3 strokes to make up on Demaret. There is no pressure anywhere exceeding the last 36 holes of an Open championship. All over the course, players are struggling, hopes are leaping, dreams are cracking up. Now the drama centers on the final hole. Demaret, despite difficulties, is still the man to beat. Julius Boros is between him and our camera. For Demaret, a score of 283, and that's the low so far. Late in the afternoon, Dick Mayer reaches the last hole with a par to tie for the title. This is a big shot.
Beauty, that's a beauty!
A birdie would win. Everybody holds his breath for the putt. Mayer looks like the champion as his score of 282 goes up on the board. But out on the course, Middlecoff has been firing a fierce closing round. Now with the birdie, he can tie Mayer. Here's his approach. Well, he gave himself a chance. Again, dead silence. And that means only one thing, a playoff. Next day, Middlecoff and Mayer meet hand to hand. Mayer teeing off. Middlecoff on the tee. Now, in addition to the pressure, they're arm and leg weary. They've already played 4 rounds in 3 days, which means nearly 30 miles of walking altogether. But Mayer is still sharp. But the strain is telling on Middlecoff. He doesn't look like the same player who closed with a 68 to tie for a low score. As the playoff progresses, he falls behind stroke by stroke. Mayer plays sound, steady golf throughout, but Middlecoff is badly off form, and at the last hole, he's 7 strokes behind. Carey can't even get a break on his last long putt. But he takes it in good spirit. Putting out is just a formality for Mayer. Middlecoff congratulates the man who beat him by 7 strokes, 72 to 79. Dick Mayer, age 34, reaches golf's pinnacle.
Scenic Southern Hills at Tulsa, Oklahoma, battleground for the 58th United States Golf Association Open Championships. From the opening shot, it takes a toll of the contenders who find it the toughest course in years. But at least one man is playing solid golf from the start. It's Tommy Bolt, who's had to conquer his temper before he could conquer par. Apparently, he has succeeded. All-time great Ben Hogan is making a forlorn bid for a 5th title, but the little Texan can still thrill the galleries. Now that grueling stretch run, Gary Player of South Africa teeing off. Dick Mayer bidding goodbye to the crown he won last year. Tommy Bolt, strong and confident. Gene Littler with a fighting chance. Julius Boros, the 1952 champion, giving Bolt a run for the money all the way. The final day of the Open is one of the great tests of sports. 36 holes of pressure-packed golf. Gene Littler makes a fierce challenge in the 3rd round. The former amateur champion fires the low round of the tournament at the leaders, a 67. He makes brilliant recoveries the few times he gets into trouble. Littler's spurt puts him closest to Bolt with 18 holes to go. But Bolt has the stuff to meet the threat. He clings to the lead with a 69. Boros tries to hang on, but his putting lets him down at times. Julius just can't make the ball drop, and he's headed for 3rd place. Now the finish of the long grind. Player rallies again on his last round and makes a strong bid for the championship. 22-year-old South African closes with a 71 for a score of 287, lowest in so far. Now he's the man to beat. And here's the man to beat him. With a final round of 73, Tommy Bolt wins the title. His 72-hole score of 283 is 4 strokes better than second-place player. Keeping his temper quiet, Bolt lets his golf do the thundering for him. Open champion of the United States.
Top golfers in a top tourney, the United States Open. Ben Hogan tees off. Tied for second going into the third round. Sammy Snead moves into contention with a 3 under par 67. Arnold Palmer, one of the starting favorites. He loses 3 strokes on the leader. Tommy Bolt, last year's winner, but way off his game this time around at the Wingfoot course in Westchester, New York. It's Bill Casper of Apple Valley, California, out ahead of them all. With good all-around play and superb putting, as right here and now on the 17th hole, he holds his lead in the third round in a match marked by storms and stiff winds sweeping the course. Home fans are rooting for Claude Harmon, the club pro, who stayed in contention with play like this 40-foot putt. In the climax, Casper holds out with 74 on the final round, an aggregate 282, and he seems assured of at least a tie. Now it's up to the others to fight Casper's mark. The toughest challenger, Bob Rosberg, with a 35-foot putt from the edge of the green. A chance to tie if he makes it, but he doesn't. Bill Casper is the new Open champ, winner of $12,000, the biggest cash prize ever in the Open.